Political drama erupts in Israel over Prime Minister Netanyahu's handling of what critics call his historic disaster during Iran conflict. Will Iran war failures cost Netanyahu his leadership as public anger mounts over strategic miscalculations? Did Israel get kicked out of key war talks, according to Netanyahu's political rival? Exposing deep divisions in national security policy. Netanyahu enters full damage control mode, desperately shifting focus to Hezbollah threats amid the fragile Iran truce. Benjamin Netanyahu is facing a growing domestic firestorm over what political opponents in Israel now describe as his historic disaster in the Iran war. Political tensions erupted inside Israel after President Trump's unilateral ceasefire announcement with Iran, which many see as having been negotiated without full Israeli consultation. Israel's opposition leader launched a sharp attack on Prime Minister Netanyahu over what he characterized as a major diplomatic failure at a critical moment. In a post on X, Yair Lapid argued that Israel had effectively been sidelined during the crucial truce negotiations, with key decisions made in his absence. Lapid claimed that Israel wasn't even at the table where decisions about its core national security were being discussed, suggesting a serious breach of coordination. Yair Lapid said, and I quote, "There has never been such a political disaster in all of our history. Israel wasn't even at the table when decisions were made concerning the core of our national security. The military carried out everything that was asked of it. The public demonstrated amazing resilience, but Netanyahu failed politically, failed strategically, and didn't meet a single one of the goals that he himself set. It will take us years to repair the political and strategic damage that Netanyahu wrought due to arrogance, negligence, and a lack of strategic planning." Unquote. Despite the internal criticism, Israel has officially backed the ceasefire announced by Trump, avoiding a public break with the U.S. position. The Israeli government said it supports Washington's decision to suspend major strikes for a 2-week period, while reserving its right to respond to threats. At the same time, Israel is continuing its own military operations against Hezbollah in Lebanon, maintaining pressure along a second major front. Analysts say Netanyahu is relying on the Lebanon front to distract voters from the perceived failures of his campaign in Iran and to frame the war as still ongoing. This comes amid growing concerns that Israel did not achieve its key stated objectives from the war against Tehran. Those objectives included dismantling or significantly rolling back Iran's nuclear program and reducing its regional influence and proxy networks. Netanyahu's government is now in the final months of its 4-year term and is constitutionally required to hold elections by October. With the Iran war failing to boost his credibility and instead drawing heavy domestic criticism, experts warn that Netanyahu's political career is now at serious risk. Earlier on the evening of April 7th, President Donald Trump had confirmed that a ceasefire had been agreed after more than a month of intense war with Iran. Trump announced a suspension of planned new bombing of Iran once a self-imposed deadline for that same day was reached, framing it as a step toward de-escalation. In response, Iran stated that if attacks against it stopped, it would cease defensive operations, indicating a conditional willingness to halt its own strikes. Trump stressed that the truce was contingent on Iran completely, immediately, safely reopening the Strait of Hormuz, tying the pause in fighting to restored global shipping through the key choke point. Tehran said that for the 2-week period, shipping through the Strait of Hormuz would be possible via coordination with its military, signaling that it intended to keep tight control but allow limited passage. Trump said Iran's 10-point proposal was a workable basis on which to negotiate, describing it as a serious framework for moving toward a broader settlement. He added that almost all of the various points of contention had been agreed between the U.S. and Iran, arguing that only a few outstanding issues remained. According to Trump, the 2-week period will allow the agreement to be finalized and consummated, portraying the ceasefire as a window to lock in a more durable deal. For its part, Iran said its decision was based on a U.S. request to negotiate on a broader 15-point proposal. Iran also emphasized that Washington had accepted Tehran's 10-point draft as a framework for discussions. Trump also noted that the truce had been finalized based on talks with Pakistan's Prime Minister and Army Chief, highlighting Islamabad's behind-the-scenes role in mediating between Washington and Tehran. Israel reported fresh missile attacks from Iran on the night of April 7th to 8th, just as news of a truce was confirmed, claiming the barrages had continued despite public talk of de-escalation. According to Israeli officials, Iran fired 2 to 3 distinct waves of missiles since Trump announced the ceasefire, suggesting that launches continued even after Washington's declaration. The Israeli military said some of the incoming Iranian missiles were successfully intercepted by its air defense systems, according to accounts carried by local media. The IDF also claimed that a number of those missiles were equipped with deadly cluster warheads, designed to break up in mid-air and scatter bomblets over wide urban areas. One ballistic missile attack targeting southern Israel triggered warning sirens across the region, as residents were urged to seek immediate shelter. That particular missile aimed at the south was later intercepted before impact, and authorities reported no injuries in that incident. Soon after, Iran launched additional missiles towards central and northern Israel, according to the IDF, broadening the scope of the latest barrage. Impacts were reported in central Israel, possibly caused by cluster submunitions or falling fragments from intercepted missiles, leading to multiple scattered impact sites. Rescue teams rushed to the areas where debris fell, though initial reports indicated there were no immediate casualties, only material damage. Subsequently, sirens sounded yet again in southern Israel as fresh missiles were detected and tracked inbound, keeping large parts of the country on edge.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest newsmakers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest newsmakers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.